The Northmen say the world will come to an end. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
Alright gamers, geeks, and other delinquents from the outer realms, it's time for the Gamers in Beta podcast with Captain Mike M.
That is a travesty of the highest order I've ever fucking seen one.
Featuring assorted co-hosts, JManiac17.
What the fuck was that all about?
Corey Atwood.
It's not my fault you guys all have shitty taste.
Sean Quicksilver, 3355.
Well, maybe you should look it up.
And Joe State.
That game sucks, dude.
And, alright, let's kick off episode 211. I wasn't on last week's, and I did call in and let everybody know that I would be calling in with some news that wasn't so great for me, but maybe interesting for the listeners. Last weekend I went up to what is called the Forks in Maine, and yes, that is actually the name of a town.
No shit.
Yeah, actually it is. And it's up by the Kennebec River. It's absolutely beautiful up there. We went camping. We were in tents. And we brought the four-wheelers up. And we went out riding on Saturday. We rode all the way up to Moosehead Lake, ate at the lake and all that, had a few drinks, and then kind of walked around for a little bit because we'd had a drink or two. So we walked around for an hour or two, and then we started riding back to camp. And on my way back, I was on my ATV, and I came around a corner on one of those back roads and hit some of the loose gravel that was on the side, and hit a tree and totaled my four-wheeler.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You're lucky to be alive. You're lucky you didn't pull a John Denver.
Not
Right.
a single scratch.
How fast were you going?
I don't know, probably 35, 40. So.
In a what? In a 15?
No, this was out in the back roads, so I'd been hauling through all them back roads and shit. But I was going along pretty good, and I wasn't quite used to the new tires and all that stuff. So, and then also I hit that loose gravel, and it kind of made steering into a little sluggish. Yeah, it made steering a little sluggish. And there was a tree that was close to the road, so I was lucky I found the one place where the tree was close to the road, and it had all that loose gravel from everybody coming around the corner and spinning up the rocks and stuff. So
now I'm no like mechanic guy, but I'm pretty sure doesn't ATV? I mean, stop me if I'm wrong. Doesn't that stand for all-terrain vehicle? I mean, I know loose gravel is pretty fucking deadly and shit, but
yeah,
really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
How big of a wheeler do you have, or did have? I guess. I'm sorry.
It was a Sportsman 500, the touring.
A 500. You were going more than 35 on a 500.
Well, the insurance people could be
earlier
listening,
I was,
Corey.
but not there. So yeah, no, not that. No, but
True.
no. By the time when I hit the tree, it was probably going 15, 20 miles an hour, if that. So
what happened to you? I want like a slow motion play-by-play. I want like bullet time Neo Maniac 17 here. Now, like, did you hit the tree like front end of the ATV? And
it hit
over
dead
the handlebars?
center of the machine. If I had hit to the left or the right, I'd be replacing A-arms on it right now. But it hit dead center and hit on the four-wheelers. You have a winch on them, and that is what hit the tree. And that is connected directly to the frame. And
Where did
so
you
there's
go?
no give. When you hit something with that, it's not like it's a crumple zone or anything like that. It bent everything in. So
And what happened to you immediately? Okay, so four-wheeler stopped.
I dove off before it hit the tree, so probably, 3 feet before it hit the tree, I dove off.
Not only does the man podcast, but he does his own stunts.
No shit. He like Van Dammed his way off the fucking bike.
Yeah, landed on my feet and ran it out.
Wow, you must be really sore.
Felt like I'd been rammed in the ass by a
No,
horse.
not a bit. Literally, didn't get anything. I wasn't sore or anything. Nothing.
Was anybody else there?
Yeah, there was 3 others. Buddy Trav that goes to PAX with us was there.
He's like,
and his brother.
Jay, what did you do there, Jay?
Yeah.
It's low energy 24/7.
Yeah. So that made for an interesting. It made for an interesting ride back. So I had to ride back in the side by side with Trav, and then it started pouring. So it made for an interesting evening. Then we had to go back up and pick it up.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. You had to go back later and pick it up?
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half away from camp. So we had to ride an hour and a half in, and then ride another hour and a half back to go pick the machine up and load it up.
Oh, my God.
So we get in about 2 in the morning.
You have friends that are absolute saints. I would have been.
Oh, hell yes! Good friends. You can't buy friends like that. I mean,
I've tried.
Yeah,
they kick you out at the end.
Yeah. The worst part about it is I think I may have gotten some poison ivy though. So, and this is why Mike doesn't go outside.
Fuck that.
Dude, for a hardcore accident like that, walking away with poison ivy, you should consider yourself lucky. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And the worst part of it is the last time my insurance got renewed, I had told them that I wanted full coverage, and they put it in under liability. So it's not covered. I am fighting with them right now. I'm fighting with the insurance company, but unfortunately, it's a company I've been with them for 30 years.
He said, she said type deal, right? You have no
exactly. Exactly. Because I've been with them for 30 odd years. I didn't double check it. They send you the paperwork. I didn't double check it. I've been with them for 30 years. I've never had an issue. So literally been with them since I was 16.
Dang.
Yeah. So they put it in under a liability instead of the thing, and nowhere on the card did it say liability. So I assumed I had full coverage as usual. Until I made the phone call. So, so it's been a pretty shitty week for me.
Loose gravel will get you all the time.
Son of a bitch.
Loose gravel will get you every time. Yeah. So watch out on that loose gravel, folks.
That's not included under all terrain. Just loose gravel is not included.
Well, it is, but when you're on a sharp corner like that and you go wide to miss the large rock that's in the middle of the road and hit the loose gravel, I probably should have hit the big rock.
No. When you called the insurance place, are you talking to a secretary, or are you talking to the agent, or who?
Yeah, I was talking to the woman that I originally spoke to, and she's like, sure you have coverage on it? I'm like, yeah, we had a discussion about it. I looked into it, and it's like, keep the full coverage on it. Yeah, okay. And then I get a phone call later on from the actual agent saying, this is what's going on. What's your side of it? And so I gave him the thing. He said, yeah, okay, not a problem. They're going to be calling you back and just tell them exactly what you told me. I said, okay. So I figured everything's all good. So now we're going on. I'll have the 4th phone call coming back here pretty soon. So it's been pretty disheartening for me this week. So
how in the ballpark, or how expensive are those things? Like north of 10,000?
No, not this one. No, brand new. It was 73 brand new. So
that's close to 10,000.
That's close. Yeah, and it's about a little over half of that now. So
can you keep those brand new tires at least?
Oh yeah, I'll end up if they don't end up covering it, I'm going to have to part it out and sell it off, or either that, or I'm going to try to fix it because I have found there's some pieces, but it's going to be expensive. So
damn. Well,
yeah,
it's
been a shitty week.
No, we hope things turn around. With the good news, I was going to say the good news is winter's coming, but not that close. You still have many weeks of riding left.
Well, I will mention, we mentioned good friends, and believe it or not, even after I wrecked it, the next day we went out and went to see what's called Moxie Falls, which is the second highest waterfall in Maine. I believe it's 112 feet, 100 something like that. It's absolutely gorgeous. So we went out and saw that the following day. We drove out and then hiked in, and just had good. We did have some good times going up previous to the crash. So
you say it was an intense situation, right?
Yeah. Yes,
sorry,
it was.
I had to do it. You didn't do it, so I couldn't let it sit. Sorry,
John. I've missed you.
And listen to that sexy, sultry voice Ladies and gentlemen, Lucky Phantasm, Sean has returned. How the hell you been?
Yes. I've been doing all right. Just packing and getting a place ready to go for when I make my move to South Carolina.
Nice. How soon?
Probably mid-September.
Mid-September. So Sean will be joining us when he can, but this sounds like the last one for a bit as he's doing some work around the place, and then you actually got to make the drive. I assume you're driving down there.
Yeah, no, I'm going to drive down, yeah.
No. Now, is this a job relocation, or are you just moving? No,
what happened was, and I'm guessing because the deal was too good. My father's been looking for retirement places for the past 6 months, and he found a place apparently in South Carolina and bought it because it was just too good of a deal to let go. But he's not retiring for 2 years, so. I was like, he called me up on a, as a matter of fact, on a Sunday night I don't remember if we were recording or not. I don't remember. But anyway, he called me and he said, look, I got a proposition for you, which usually means I've got some work for you I need you to do for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
I got two hookers and a case of Bud Light. You want to come over? I thought that was that's where you were going to go with that. Funny how I think like that.
No, I wouldn't expect any difference, so stay the same. Right. And then he said to me, he said, would you be interested in, moving down there? And I said, well, I've always been interested in moving down there, but I said, I can't, I need to find a place and all that stuff. He goes, well, about that, I have a place. I'm not moving down for 2 years. I need somebody to stay at the house to make sure everything stays okay. And, and everything is good. And he goes, got an in-ground pool, and I need you to cut the grass. That's pretty much all I need you to do. And I said, all right, well, how much are you looking for? He goes, nothing. I go, I'm sorry? He goes, yeah. He goes, no, you don't have to pay anything. I'm like, nothing? He goes, well, your cable. I said, nothing? So I said yes, and, and I've been working out with the job and everything and transferring down there and stuff because it is going to be a little bit of a salary decrease, and I am going to be taking a New York car payment down to South Carolina, which is something I've been trying to figure out if I can finance it or do something. But so that's.
Tell you need moving expenses. Tell your boss, because you are a pool boy now. Say, hey, listen, I got to bring this car down here. This cars don't pay for themselves.
Well, the funny thing about that is too, this is one of those states that does the taxes every year on your car.
Yeah, we have Massachusetts excise tax.
Yeah,
yep.
Same with Maine.
Yeah, so you guys have all had that. I've never had to deal with that. So when I called the DMV, they said, okay, yeah, and you have to record this with your taxes on this. I said, the what? And she goes, yeah, you have to, every year you're going to get taxed on your car depending on the year. And of course, I had to buy a newer car, so it's a lot more than it normally would have been had I had an older car. But whatever. Like I said, I'm going to do it. It's a nice change of pace. I've been looking for something different, so that works out for me.
Can finally work on that tan,
Yeah.
Wow. Get up by that pool. All right.
So, are you able to relocate your job?
Yeah. I'm trying to transfer right now. I got some interviews this week with some of the branches down there. So.
All right. Well, good enough. We've drawn enough of your personal information out, so I guess we should move on because Mike wants to go. Continue on.
Corey, anything that you want to, have you crashed anything? Are you moving anywhere? Anything that you want to get off your chest here before we dive in?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sleep well last night, but I didn't fucking, I had no off-road fury going on. I'm not moving anywhere, so I feel like any stories I have would pale in comparison. So let's just move on to the show, I think.
I know that you were planning on drinking and smoking hard. Was that next weekend or was that this weekend or both?
That's next weekend. This weekend I just didn't sleep well. Next weekend I do not think I'll be able to make it to the show because it's supposed to be a rough weekend. I'll come back with some good stories though.
Okay. And you'll be in Maine as well, right?
Yeah, I'll be going out to Bingham. I'm sure Maniac
is that anywhere near the falls we just heard about, or the Fork, or anything like that?
No. That's not quite that far up, but it is a ride.
All right. Well, let's get into the news, the most topical headlines of the week, and then we'll get on with the rest of this shit. Let's see. Late last week, I think on Sunday or Monday, this broke. Horizon Zero Dawn DLC is getting a release date. All right, it's already been on sale for a while, but the Frozen Wilds will be coming out November 7th, right around the time as the Xbox One X, if that ever gets released. So you'll have a choice, Jay, either to open up your Xbox One X or play with the new DLC. If you didn't know, Horizon Zero Dawn took place in the Rocky Mountains. Did you guys know that it was in Colorado?
I think I did know that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right, so the Frozen Wilds was going to take place in post-apocalyptic Wyoming, around what was once Yellowstone National Park. And the Grand Prismatic Spring is going to have a play in this DLC. It's going to cost $19.99, but currently right now it's on sale in the store for $14.99 if you pre-order. Since Jay is the only one beside myself to have played this, Jay, I assume you're all over this like flies on shit?
Yeah, I got to hurry up and pre-order it so I can get it at the $15 price because as far as I'm concerned with this game, I haven't even played it, but that's going to be a steal at that price because I will play the hell out of it till I'm done with it.
I was surprised that it's coming out this year. I was willing to bet that it would get delayed till next year with such a busy fall season, all these other games coming out. But they're going to squeeze this one right in there, November 7th. So, Corey, if you plan on playing Horizon Zero Dawn, you have a little bit of time before the DLC.
I do, but I mean, God, there's still more games coming out, so I'm not sure when I'm going to squeeze it in.
Well, stop doing all that smoking and drinking and fucking get on the video games, will you?
I'm a busy guy.
Priorities. All right. This next one, I want to get into just a little bit of what's coming out, but I find the game itself way more interesting than what the latest story is. So, No Man's Sky Update 1.3 is coming out. It's a free download, as I think all of their stuff has generally been free, I believe. And this is going to add 30 more hours of story campaign. All right. This has been a very polarizing news story. Lots of people are saying, hey, this is the game that they should have released. They're never going to get it right. It still doesn't have what we need. It is a hot button issue. But I give credit to Hello Games for still working on it. And it is a free DLC. Again, it's called Atlas Rises. My personal opinion, I want to hear from you guys, is that Sony and Hello Games are laughing all the way to the bank on this. Because their game, their exclusive game, I mean, I know it's also on PC, is still in the news. People are still, if you listen to other podcasts or Twitter or wherever you get your news or insight, people are saying, I'm going to fire this up and start all the way over. And you look at some of the other Xbox exclusives, well, not maybe an Apple-to-Apple comparison, but games like Quantum Break and Recore came out over and no one's talking about them. And yet this one still seems to be in the news, and sometimes they say, what's the saying about press? Even bad press is good, or there's no such thing as bad press.
Right. Yes.
So, Sean, as someone who plays these types of games, what's your feeling on this?
Well, I mean, I didn't get a chance to download it yet, but I was watching. It's made it back. It's back on Twitch again. There's a bunch of people playing it now because of the update. So each time the update comes out, people are playing it. So, I mean, this is the only game that got so much negative press. And you're right. It's still being talked about. A year later. I think it is almost a year later.
I want to say it came out August of last year. Right, roughly around a year, August 6th, I believe, if I had to guess.
So, I mean, I guess it's cool. I'm going to download it, but right now I have to get another hard drive because apparently Arc is taking up a lot of my hard drive space, which I almost uninstalled it today. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's funny that this game, they keep updating it with these free updates and everything, and I'm going to check it out. I mean, I hope it's cool. I mean, last time I went on with the new updates, it was pretty neat with all the base building and stuff and the vehicles and everything, but still, I couldn't get into it for very long, so...
So some of the nitty-gritty stuff, 30 hours of story campaign, procedurally generated missions, and a limited form of multiplayer where you see other players as floating orbs. They're calling that joint exploration. Glitches in the simulation have begun to appear. These glitches allow up to 16 players to see each other as represented by glowing orbs. You can communicate via voice over IP when in close proximity. You will need to be in exactly the right place to meet each other, although the patch's new portals feature will help a little with that. So there is a quick travel that's been added to the game, these portals that they're talking about, unless they were always there before. Corey, you've played this a bunch before, right?
Yeah, one of the first patches, they added the ability to teleport from your base when they started base building, when they released that first big patch, from your base to like one of the space stations if you manage to set that up. But I don't know, these portals I think do more than that. I think these portals are a little more useful than that, because that was like semi-useful. So the portals seem to help in transportation, but I don't know. I see all this new stuff, and like you said, I wish some of this had been around when the game first came out, and it looks neat. But I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I don't think I'm going back to this. It's too much new stuff to play, and I could say that's cool, that's nifty all day, but no way am I going back to it. No, not a slight against the game. It's a great game. If you thought about playing it, pick it up. But I'm not fucking going back.
And it's pretty cheap right now too. I think I want to say it's heavily discounted on both Steam and PlayStation, so it's nowhere near $60 right now either. You
should be. It's I think exactly a year old this month. So, yeah, I mean, it should be on sale.
So the larger story here, and I don't want to beat this up too much, is it's pretty clear that we would agree that maybe Sony gave these guys a firm time frame after the game was delayed so much to begin with. They were almost forced to release the game as it was, and maybe now a year later is when it really should have come out. So essentially people, without the early access title, people really did buy a game that was in early access, and now it's more of what they envisioned, almost to the date, 1 year later. You think that's a miscalculation on Sony's point, or you think, hey, they got the money and they're making good? They haven't forgotten about the game. They're still putting updates out. They're still supporting it. Jay, do you have any thoughts? Did we lose Jay?
Go ahead, Corey.
I feel. Well, you summoned Jay. I want to hear what Jay. I already talked about this. I want to hear what Jay thinks about it.
Jay.
Is he dead?
I think we've lost Jay.
All I know is that they're having they're putting wormholes in this game, and Skype is acting like a wormhole right now. So I'm only getting about half the conversation, unfortunately. The usual Skype has bitten us in the ass once again, or at least me.
All right, Jay. Well, that's unfortunate. Where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Anyways,
should they have waited a year? I think
should they have waited a year, or well, I guess the large question, was it a mistake? Should they have just said at the beginning, this is early access, buy it now, buyer beware, but the game's really going to be coming out in about a year? You think that would have softened the blow, or you think that would have had a negative reaction a year ago?
No, I think it would have softened the blow a little bit if they just would have said early access and, we'll finish in a year or two or whatever. At least it would have given them, at least it wouldn't have been so bad. The reviews wouldn't have been so bad because it would have been early access and people would have known that. So, yeah, I think but Corey's right, they got their money. So what do they, at this point now, anything they do release and keep going with this as long as it's free, I guess it'll be good. I mean, it keeps them in the news. I mean, here we are a year later, still talking about No Man's Sky when, a year ago, no one thought after they released it, we'd ever hear about it again. So,
right. I think they released it at a decent time, and I don't necessarily think they should have called it early access, but I think they should have been a little more strict during their PR campaign. I think they let people run wild with their imaginations about what was possible in this game, and they really alluded to a lot of multiplayer, and they kept saying there will be a form of multiplayer, but not really. Like Mike said, now this is that quote unquote form. They made it seem like there's some stuff that there wasn't. A lot of it was just people running wild with what they wanted it to be. I think they should have reined it in maybe a little bit. That probably would have softened the blow, but maybe calling it early access wouldn't have been terrible if all this stuff was planned to begin with.
My feeling is Microsoft would kill for this bad press. To have a game like this that is somewhat polarizing, yet still releases updates and has people coming back. Again, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but nobody talks about the past Xbox exclusives like Recore and Quantum Break. You hear a little bit about Gears and Horizon and stuff like that, but there are other titles. No one's talking about them. A year later, people still talking, whether it's good or bad, about this game. So we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see now that it's out what the reaction is. You know, it's good to have the content there, but is it worth anything now? So I'm interested to hear the impressions a week or two later. Moving on to a rather nasty story that we're going to talk about here. Shadow of War is going to let you use real money to level up faster. How do we feel about microtransactions? Usually they are relegated to cosmetic items and things like that, but not so fast in Shadow of War, which comes out, I believe, October 11th, I want to say. This, of course, is the sequel to Shadow of Mordor. There's going to be loot chests, which contain gear, which is weapons and armor of varying rarity. Equipping and upgrading these weapons and armor enhance Talion's character abilities. Loot chests can also contain XP boost. There's going to be war chests. XP boost are consumables that will help level up, like I just said. And there's also going to be bundles of these loot chests and war chests and boost. And there's going to be two types of currency, Mirian and gold. One which will be in-game currency, which you earn as you complete things in the game, but you can purchase gold with real hard-earned American dollars. So how do you guys feel about that? That you
that's great. Another pay-to-win game. Perfect. That's what we need. We need more of these. There's not enough of these out. We need more.
Yeah, this is a single-player only game, though, isn't it? It's not like you're going to be playing somebody online who drops $500 and then just like kicks your dick in the dirt. This is a single player experience. So like I would not advocate for buying it because, I'm old fashioned and I would bitch and complain about I don't like seeing a lot of transactions like this in my games, but it's not like I would have an advantage over other people. I'm by myself.
Sure.
So I don't think it's really all that bad.
So they're trying to frame it in people who don't have the time to level up accordingly and they want to get leveled up faster. Usually in other story games, if someone wants to get through the story faster, they usually drop the difficulty down. But that doesn't sound like what this is. This is more about leveling up your character faster.
I'm curious as to how much they're going to push it in game, because if there are transactions in a game, I don't mind. Usually I'll ignore them. But if they push them a lot, like let's say like I fail a mission twice and they're like, you could give wink, wink. If you slip me a couple bucks, maybe this mission will be a little bit easier. That would irritate the shit out of me, to constantly be reminded that I kind of suck and maybe I should pay a little extra to make this an easier experience. That would make me mad. If I could do it without ever... If I would have to seek it out, it wouldn't be in my face the whole time, then I don't think it would bother me. But of course, being an old school gamer like we are, I would of course look down on anybody that had to pay extra, because I feel like out of spite, I would not want to pay extra.
It's just disappointing. I mean, obviously this is a Warner Brother game, and big company, goes without saying, and they release a lot of different types of games, so it's not surprising it's coming from them. But it is disappointing that people held Shadow of Mordor in such high regard. And for better or worse, this does tarnish the name a little bit if it comes out. Of course, the backlash could come and they could strip it out of the game. It hasn't released yet. But it does take away, I think, a little bit from it, that you have a game. Go ahead.
So I was just going to ask, are there going to be things that I cannot get without paying this actual cash, or is it just something that speeds up a process?
They're talking speed up a process. They say by simply engaging with the world and playing through Middle-earth Shadow of War, you earn items like gear and the unique orcs for your army. These are the same items that are found in the market within loot chests and war chests. Gold merely allows you to get your hands on them immediately, cutting down some of the additional time that would have been spent winning more battles, tracking nemesis, completing quests, and assaulting fortresses.
Isn't that now? Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't games supposed to be fun, and you're supposed to do it because you want to do it, not because you want to try to get through the game faster? This to me doesn't make any sense.
We live in a me first world, right? So someone wants to spend the gold and then show everybody, hey, look, I did all this and that and the other thing. You know, it's
that's a shitty way of looking at things. Sorry, I don't play video games so that I can get through with them and then brag about it. I play video games to escape, real world shit going on. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why I play video games. So I guess maybe my goal of playing video games is different than most people's, I guess. I don't know. It seems kind of weird.
Well, Sean, I do say you have the sexiest voice on Gamers in Beta, and I might also give you the sexiest segue award as well, because I want to shift gears here and talk about this Xbox update. And one of the things they're considering with achievements is reworking them so people can be more recognized. Maybe give someone a bigger pat on the back for beating Shadow of War faster or being the top Shadow of War player. So they're saying right now with achievements, you got, Corey, what's your gamer score roughly? In the 50s, 20s?
Oh, jeez, I have no idea. Well, I had to guess 40,000. Does that sound normal? I honestly haven't looked at it in a while.
So right there, they're saying, well, that doesn't mean anything, 40,000, right? They're saying we don't know if he's played a zillion games or just played a handful. They're saying that there could be a Halo player out there who's a pro, and he's only got 2,000 gamer score, but there's more to him than just 2,000 points. He's achieved all this stuff in Halo, but nobody knows about it. And so they're going to try to do something better around achievements rather than just tallying up a score. They're going to try to do more acknowledgement around what you've actually done in-game. So to any of you guys, as you play your games, do you feel like you're under-recognized and underappreciated by your console holders? Do you wish they called you out?
Can I just say I don't give a fuck? Does that work as an answer? Because that's where I'm at right now. I don't give a fuck whether people like it or not or what I do. I don't really care.
Yeah.
It seems a little late. I remember when these really mattered. I would go out of my way to get all the achievements for games that I really felt were important to me. I was like, this, because I was really into the Halo franchise for a while. So I was like, this defines me as an Xbox gamer. So of course I need to get all the achievements I can get in like every Halo game, just so I could be rolling in that Halo pussy, I guess, because people would see that gamer score and be like, wow, I just don't care anymore. Not a lot of people.
Halo pussy? Say it one more time. I just love the way you say it.
Rolling in the Halo pussy. There you go. There's an episode title for you.
Yep.
But I don't know. I feel like trophies and achievements had their heyday, and now they don't seem to. I don't know. They don't mean as much to me anymore.
Maybe that's what Microsoft feels as well, that they're not getting enough traction anymore. The people, for a while there, were addicted to the sound, right? They just wanted to hear the popping. And people were tracking gamer score for a little bit, but maybe that's passé. So now they're looking at it again and saying, how can we bring this back and sort of, relabel it and call more attention to it.
If they could make it,
you got to do shit like that when you don't have first-party games, right? You got to do something to. Joe might be gone, but I will carry the torch every now and then.
I would like to see him succeed in this, because I say now that it's passé and I don't give a shit, but I remember what it was like in the beginning of the 360 days. It was fun. It was fun to race your friends at achievements. It was fun to compare who had a higher gamer score. So I would like to give a shit again. You hear that, Microsoft? Make me care again about my gamer score.
Yes. And they're also coming out with a new update, once again, to the UI. They're calling this the Fluent Design. And currently this is available to Xbox One insiders on the Alpha Ring. So I am disappointed that Jay had to drop off the call due to Skype issues, because I was curious to see if he had this, because I know he is in the Alpha Ring. So they revealed this earlier on the week, I think, via Mixer. So Microsoft is focusing again on speed of navigation, removing splash screens that occur when you switch from sections like home, social, and games and apps. The tabs and the guides are now ordered horizontally, and you can switch between them using the Xbox controller bumpers or left thumbstick and D-pad. Sign-in, achievements, parties, friends, home, messages, broadcasts, and a new action center now form part of the updated guide. Just by looking at some of the screenshots here, it seems to be, I don't know, would you say Netflix-ish? That's what it looks like to me a little bit. It's got that, like a hybrid of Netflix meets the PlayStation design, PlayStation network, where everything is kind of going horizontally, but like Netflix, you can go up and down, but there's still horizontal options for you. So
yeah, they still have those tiles too. They're not letting go of those tiles completely, but I like being able to cycle through everything fast. And the most important thing to me is being able to send game invites and like chat invites quickly, or selecting your games quickly. Those are the two things I think are key. I don't want to do like 14 clicks to send so and so an invite.
Mm-hmm. So I guess these are just a number of changes that they're working on this year. Of course, building up to the release of the Xbox One X, which is still not available for pre-order. All right. That is enough news at the top of the show. Let's get into some listener participation. We'll kick things off here with the question of the week. So let's hear from the Hall of Famer.
They think they got the answers. I change the questions.
Is that so, Rowdy? Is that so? I will do this segment for you, Corey, because I know you are low energy. So
I didn't get in an accident though. I feel like I'm a huge pussy now.
Yes, I wasn't going to say it, but as long as you recognize it, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
I'll recognize it. Jay's gonna come in here and like make me seem like a pussy because he's fucking Action Jackson now.
Let's see. The last week's question of the week was from Jeremy of Dad's Getting Grounded, who was our guest. He was trying to, give me a hard time by asking another food question, which he knows is my favorite thing. So here's his question. What are the perfect ingredients for nachos, and in what order do you place the toppings? Now, before we read these off, Jeremy said this is a hot topic, hot button issue at his home between his wife and himself. And I think he was away this weekend at some sort of family reunion, his wife's family reunion. So he left us hanging. He did not even respond to his own question. Do you believe this? What kind of guy is that?
Should we even have people answer it? That's bullshit.
I know. I'm right there with you. But we got a number of responses, mostly via Discord. So let's kick these off. Can you handle these, Corey? Are you good to go?
I think I got it. I got it.
You got it.
All right. Denny from Tap the Craft says he gave us a quick list and like a procedure guide. He says cheese, add beans, meat, green onions, olives, tomatoes, avocado, salsa, and sour cream. Pull the chips out of the pile, then use them to scoop the goodness. If done right, you will have just enough chips to eat everything clean. That seems tough to be able to predict that with how much you're going to pour on.
So he started with the cheese, but where was the chips? Were the chips at the very bottom?
He did say pull them out of the pile, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that everyone's going to go with chips as the base. I think that seems like lunacy to not have chips as the base. Do you guys agree?
So were you like, but chips obviously, how you go to some people have like a loose interpretation of what nachos are. To me, nachos are a pile of chips, right? Is that what we're all agreeing with? It's a pile of chips and then you add all the shit on?
Absolutely.
Like sometimes I see it very flat. And I'm like, those aren't nachos. I don't know what you came up with, but those aren't nachos.
Rearrange that shit, sir.
Anyways, go ahead.
All right. So Plop Ploop, he says, so the wife and I had nachos last night, and I feel like I have a good idea of how to answer. Homemade nachos always have to have nacho cheese and ground beef. There is no way around that. Then your veggies and sour cream. Now, as far as order goes, I meticulously layer my nachos.
Here we go. Plop Ploop.
Yeah. I like this answer. This is a well thought out answer. I do a single layer of chips, then cheese, then ground beef, then veggies. I repeat that for about 3 total layers and top off with sour cream. Now my wife, she doesn't care. She just piles on the chips, cheese, and ground beef, and then a more than generous amount of sour cream. My wife goes crazy with the sour cream too. I don't get that. Here's the deal. No matter how you make homemade nachos, there is no fucking way to have a perfect chip to toppings ratio. I always have to refill on the chips to finish my toppings. # first world problems. That seems practical. Does anybody else layer? I've never even thought to layer like that.
I do.
You know what? I have this thing about nachos and salad. I do make them at home, but I always feel when you go out, the nachos you get when you go out and a salad when you go out are much better than what you do at home. Maybe I'm just not a good cook. I don't know, but I never can get them quite right as some really good Mexican restaurant that makes, incredible nachos.
Yeah, I agree. I hate trying to make a salad at home. It always looks very pathetic.
Yes.
Fuck, this is no restaurant-style salad. All right, next answer. This is much shorter. This is Dr. Johns from Discord. Is this like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't matter? Oh, because I said whoever answers first gets points. And since I have nothing of value to add to this week's question, I'm just going to leave this here. Well, why the fuck did I read that, Dr. Johns? You motherfucker. You tricked me into reading that. All right, the next one is Derp2309S. This question is amazing. My girlfriend and I seldom do nachos at home, but whenever we're in Toronto, there's a place called Sneaky D's. Ooh, I'll give you the Sneaky D. All right, that we go to every single time. As she is a vegetarian, our nachos don't contain meat. I know. But I was there by myself last week, and I had their Northern Blues nachos. They consist of their house-made tortillas, steak, bacon, cheese, guacamole, sour cream, pico de gallo, mixed peppers, green onions, jalapenos, and barbecue sauce. Holy shit, that sounds good. The main reason we go to this place is because they have perfected layering. Every single time this massive plate of nachos is demolished. Not a single tortilla or topping left. Looks like they get their ratios correct. I'm
going to predict that nobody is listening anymore, and everybody has gone out to order nachos or get food from the fridge or something. All right,
I was thinking about the same thing. I am Papa Bibsy or Bibbers on PSN. Simple. Few handfuls of nacho, massive amounts of chili, and a ton of that fake yellow shit they call cheese. Nothing makes me happier than soggy nachos full of goodness.
Now, his isn't as elaborate as everybody else's, but I have to admit, I know it's nasty garbage, but I love that nasty yellow shit. Like, if you go to, like a basketball game or, like, a 7-Eleven, and you get that disgusting yellow stuff and put it on nachos, and the nachos get, like, all sloppy and, like, he's talking.
Yeah. Like that Velveeta. I think someone else comes up with this later. Yep.
Yeah.
Someone addresses this later.
It's so good. I can't deny how good that shit is, but I typically like to go more elaborate. But yeah, if I see that, I will crave it. Sometimes I'll get that when I go to the movies. They have that a lot of movie theaters down here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Chaffee says, there is no right or wrong way to make nachos. I love nachos with cheese sauce, nachos with shredded cheese, chili cheese nachos, buffalo chicken nachos. God damn it, now I'm hungry. Sometimes jalapenos and sometimes nah. Chips are the foundation, but sky's the limit on toppings and structure.
So he just identified what it is. Cheese sauce and shredded cheese. That's cheese sauce is that yellow shit, yeah.
And chips. You need chips or else it's not nachos.
You gotta have the chip. Yeah. Agent Orange says, layer of chips, layer of cheese, layer of chips, layer of cheese, then toppings of choice. I like ground beef, ground turkey is good also, or chicken. Then black beans, diced tomatoes, chopped green onions, black olives, jalapenos on mine, not the wife's. Then a scoop of sour cream and some diced avocado. Bam! And don't touch my shit. Oh, and none of that Velveeta shit.
Hey,
Corey just took one in the ass.
Come on, guys. Hey, now, how do you guys feel about sour cream? Because I can take it or leave it on my nachos. I don't really need it.
Either way, I'll take it either way. It doesn't matter to me.
That's what we heard about you, Sean. I'm sorry to hear. I like sour cream. It's one of those things. It's a fine line. It's sort of like mayonnaise, right? I like mayonnaise, but you go overboard with it, and then all of a sudden all I'm eating is mayonnaise and not what else, but the hamburger or whatever else it's on. Same thing with sour cream. A little bit goes a long way. I don't need a whole shit ton of sour cream.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, too much of it is just like a little bit of it is perfect when you mix it with that salsa.
Give me a little sample, a little hint.
Exactly. Yeah, just too much of it. Sort of
like the
not
vagina.
Hating.
Just give me a little hint of pee. I don't need a lot of pee. Just a little hint of pee. Oh, we're talking.
Okay, so moving on to RoboPig. I don't think I have concerns with the orders of layers. I just cannot be a fan of guacamole. I've tried it a few times and I just don't get it. At home, I am lazy, so it's usually just chips, cheese, and salsa. But I love when they have the diced onions, tomatoes, jalapenos, and some kind of meat.
Yeah, let's get into the meat here.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not a big ground beef guy. I got to admit that. I am more into the chicken is my preferred for nachos. If there's a difference if it's chili, then that's a different ball game. But if it's just
already in there,
right? That's what I'm saying. It's already in there. But if it's just ground beef, I'm not such a big fan. I'd prefer the chicken over the just ground beef.
Now, what if you're making it? Because I feel like ground beef is like the foundation of most nachos. And if I'm making it, I will just use ground beef because it's easier. But chicken, I think, is that's highfalutin nachos. Like, I'll order that shit, but I won't make it at home because it's so much more effort.
Yeah, at home we use vegetarian ground beef. But I think because I enjoy Taco Bell so much. I know. I can't do their ground beef though. Their ground beef is like sandpaper. I do not.
It's garbage.
I do not get anything ground beef at Taco Bell, so I'm always a chicken guy, and I've just come used to chicken tacos, chicken burritos. I'm more of a chicken guy in general. It's better for you anyway. So that's where I am with the meat here. Let's see, my turn here. We got Mafia Thug. Well, I agree with everything up above except with one missing ingredient. Mr. French, can you call in and guess what ingredient is? One clue, it's not mustard or ketchup. So he's leaving us hanging there. He hasn't told us what the ingredient is.
Well, people have mentioned salsa, so it's not salsa. I don't know about you guys, but I really like really, really hot things. I'm a big fan of super, super hot salsa and jalapeno.
Super hot.
Oh, I just totally should have put that on the soundboard. But jalapenos really don't even do it for me anymore. I've moved up. I need habaneros to feel anything now.
Oh my God, your shits in the morning must be entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I can't do any of that
wildfire.
Shit. I can't do that shit anymore. Can't do it.
I need it.
I told you about the accident with the hefty bag. That came right from a place where I was eating that type of shit. It's explosive. It just puts so much force on my anus that I can't control it.
I have to. Well, to bring it back, what I was saying is I can't even find good salsa anymore. If you go to the grocery store and you really look for hot salsa, it's all mild and medium. So I have to put hot sauce in my salsa now to feel alive. I got to put at least sriracha in it or something to make it, to bring it up to my heat standards.
My oldest son is like that. Anytime we go out, he always gets what's that, Tabasco sauce and stuff like that, the hot sauces. Mm-hmm. So we had these this little pepper plant on our back deck that we were growing. And my wife said, if any of these things grow, you have to eat one of them. So he's like, no problem, I like hot stuff. So it's just this little dark red pepper that we gave him. And he took one bite and he flipped his shit. He was crying. He was on the ground, throwing the biggest tantrum of his life. That his mouth was on fire. He was craving drink. We didn't have any milk in the house. That's supposed to help. It was hysterical.
Yeah, stuff you grow yourself is always way hotter. So that doesn't surprise me. A buddy of mine is really into hot peppers too. He grows his own, and they're insanely hot. It's wonderful.
All right, let's move on here to Awakened Heathen. He's got to get something off his chest here first. He says, I need to stop answering first because my answers don't get read. LOL. Sorry about that. If you do jump the gun and we're in a rush, sometimes we forget people answer before we put the question out. We can do better, and we will. His nachos, he said, here it goes. Chips, steak, pico de gallo, sour cream and guac, shredded cheese, then white cheese sauce, then smaller garnishes like olives, cilantro, etc. Boom, nacho elitist.
He's the first one to bring up steak. Steak nachos are pretty damn good. If I had to choose between ground beef and steak, oh yeah, steak every time. I would always choose steak every time. But again, laziness, I usually default.
All right. Now, do you get actual ground beef, raw ground beef from the your supermarket, or are you getting frozen ground beef in a bag or something like that from supermarket?
Typically what we do, if we're going to buy something from the grocery store, and it's going to be mixed up in nachos, we'll get ground turkey. It's healthier, and it has almost the same consistency. But lately, because I do have a little bit of Maine redneck in me, and I did shoot 2 deer, I used Maine, deer burger, venison, if you will, if you want to get all highfalutin.
Yeah, how does that taste?
Oh, it's excellent. It's like beef, but way, way better. Way healthier for you, too. No, it's expensive shit that you'd buy at Whole Foods because it's technically free range before I shot it. So yes, if you have a chance to have deer nachos, eat that shit. It is delicious.
I'm gonna pass, but good on you. Let's see here. This is Team Chaos Theory, and he says probably the worst person to answer this, as I don't like cheese. I know.
What?
Or rabbit food, which I'm assuming he's talking about lettuce there. But I just love the chips and dead animal parts, whether it's taco meat, hamburger, or a form of chili. Wow, there's a guy that doesn't like cheese. You're not getting very far in life. Does that mean you don't like pizza? Does that mean you don't like grilled cheese sandwiches? What do you do on subs? You order subs without cheese? What do you do when you order a meatball sub? You get no cheese on it?
He's one of those guys that just eats like no, he doesn't eat just a straight up cheese sandwich. It's very, very basic. Is he like a butter on noodles kind of guy? I'm thinking
That was almost a Goodfellas thing. What am I funny? What am I make you laugh? What am I
What do you
clown?
You got a problem with cheddar? Huh? Fuck.
All right, and right before the buzzer, right before we started tonight, this came in via Twitter. This is from Nick Games on the Mind, who will be subbing in next week for Corey while he's away. Melt a mixture of cheddar and white cheese / salsa / spicy sausage in a crock pot. Look at this guy. He's throwing a whole new wrinkle into this. Let's repeat that again.
Man.
A mixture of cheddar with white cheese, salsa, and spicy sausage in a crock pot. Well, he just mentioned sausage, right? And I can't let that go by. I can't let that go by without a little sound effect. I'm sorry.
Well, that's one sausage I'm not going to let go to waste.
Yes, thank you. Let's see, where did he leave off there? Yes, in the crock pot, pour this over chips in a bowl, and then add jalapeno, lettuce, sour cream, onion, and in parentheses here he says black olives if you like. No, I don't like, so I won't add them. And bacon crumbles. Good God. This guy is making us all look like a bunch of schmucks. Spicy sausage and bacon crumbles. My wife also adds cilantro.
I've never even thought to add bacon to nachos, but I'm not going to say that is not a good idea. Oh, are you like a bacon every time kind of guy?
Oh, I use bacon for everything. You kidding me? Bacon's got so many uses. I mean,
Sean uses
put it on just about anything.
Sean uses
soap,
it to
shampoo,
floss his teeth.
Oh, let's not go that far. But I mean, I do use it on quite a bit of stuff. It just adds good flavor. That's all.
So we've sort of answered this question as we've gone along and read these. Do we have anything else to add to this, or?
No, I think all these are pretty good descriptions of a little bit of everything there. Although I do like Nick's thing. I didn't think about that. That's something I have to
the
think
spicy
about.
sauce. I don't think I've had sausage in Mexican food at the same time. I am a good. I was about to say I'm a good sausage. I do like my sausage. Isolate that.
Oh,
I do
man.
like my sausage.
Yeah.
I
want to isolate. I'm a good sausage.
I do like a good sausage every now and then. You know what I'm saying. But I would say, to get to, I'm curious to hear what Jeremy and his wife were debating over. I do think you don't want how you get a soft serve ice cream, and then you get that hard shell on the top, whether it's butterscotch or chocolate or cherry. If you go to Dairy Queen, you get that shell. Mm-hmm. It's a slippery slope with nachos to have a hard shell of cheese on the top and not have everything mixed in appropriately. And then all of a sudden you're just picking off this like one huge layer of cheese, and then there's all your ingredients, and all of a sudden the cheese isn't dispersed accordingly. So I'm curious what they're debating over with, but I think that's the one caution, is to make sure that you really do put the cheese in multiple different times, or otherwise you just get this helmet of cheese. And once you rip the helmet off, then there's just your ingredients.
Yeah, you can't. You got to disperse it. You got to disperse evenly. You can't have that helmet of cheese right there in the middle. I totally agree with you. I
can't have the helmet.
I think their debate was about when the cheese went on. Like,
right, that's what I'm
does the cheese go over? Yeah.
Does it go last like a helmet, or does it go in weaved in the middle as you go along?
I would do it. I would always do it last to like hold down all the ingredients. Like, I don't know, I think they're going to fly off the planet or something, but that's what I always do. That's like the last blanket before I like tuck it into the oven just to like melt all the cheese. But I love this layering idea. I've never layered my nachos before, so I think I have to start trying that.
I started layering my nachos a while back, and that seems to work out better because you get the best everything is, you get to taste everything all the time. And it's not just cheese and then the rest of the ingredients. It's, nachos, cheese, and then your ingredients, and then layer it like that, and then you get all the good stuff all the time. I mean, that's the best way to do it.
Fantastic. Well, let's tell the people what the question is for this week. The question of the week gods or fairy came to us and delivered me a question. I don't know who came up with it, and I don't care. We're just going to roll with it. The question is, what is your most prized possession, and why do you value it so much? Geez, I think someone here on the show is like trying to case your homes and figure out what you have. And can you when you respond to the answer, can you please let us know when you're not home and maybe what the code to the security is? Just curious.
Where it is in your home, how many steps I would have to go.
Yeah.
I mean, and no emotionally sappy, oh, my children are, come on, don't give me that bullshit. I want to hear.
We're looking for a selfish answer, something you've spent money on or someone that's given to you. We're not looking my family or my kids. That goes without saying, all right?
Yeah, possessions here, people, possessions.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear from Rowdy one last time.
They think they got the answers. I change the questions.
All right. Before we get into the music for the voicemails, let's remind everybody what the phone number is. It is 508-658-BETA. Again, that's 508-658-BETA. We got a few voicemails this week, but first we need to hear a little tune.
What you'd really rather do is talk about yourself, so don't talk to me, don't talk to me.
All right, we have some voicemails this week. Some guy named Joe called in. I'm very curious to hear who this is. Let's see who
I'll be doing my buddy.
Oh, hey, no spoilers.
Oh, hey there, Captain Mike M and the Gamers and Baiters. It's Joe State here, calling in. I'm towards the end of my lunch break. It's 1 a.m. I took a long lunch break, drove clear across town to the office for eBay shit, shipped about 30 bras, because I don't want to have to do it tomorrow. And, yeah, pretty tired, about to head back in a minute. And, you know what I'm really sad about is, this campus, or at least where I'm in, doesn't allow you to have headphones. Oh. So I gotta try and squeeze in all my gamers and beta fucking whenever I'm not inside. It's very difficult. I'm wrapping up last week's episode. I'm assuming today, I guess you would say, since it's Monday now, since it's 1 a.m., you'll have a new episode. So I will have to also try and catch up on that one. Anyways, last episode was good. Good job, guys. Good job. Way to carry the torch without me.
Oh, Joe State. Now we have a. Do you have a round of applause on your board there, Corey?
I do.
Well, we have a preemptive round of applause. I didn't say play it.
I'm sorry, I got excited.
Holy shit. There's a soundboard battle going on here.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself for having it.
I know. We have a brand new caller. Gentleman's name is Mark. So let's give Mark a round of applause for calling in and leaving a message. Way to go, Mark. Way to go. Be more like Mark. Again, 508-658-BETA. Be more like Mark. Here we go.
Hey guys, my name is Mark. I was calling to thank you guys, Mike, Corey, and Jay, for putting on a great podcast.
Not you, Sean.
I know a lot of people, or probably a majority of people listen, but they don't call or even interact with you guys at all. But I don't either, but I just thought I'd call and let you guys know you're doing a great job. I've been listening for years. I'm a farmer from upstate New York, west of the Adirondacks, Tug Hill. And you guys help the day go by fast and give out some good laughs. And I just wanted to call and thank you guys and let you know that you're appreciated and keep up the good work. So take care, guys. Thanks.
All right, Farmer Mark.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Farmer Mark. I'm happy that we could help you on your long farming days.
And Sean lives sort of, not really up that way, but he lives upstate New York. Would you consider that upstate New York where you live, Sean? Poughkeepsie? Orange County?
No, mid-state.
Mid-state. Ah, my bad. All right. I was going to offer you services to help till the land, but I guess not.
Well, he does do a lot of farming simulation. I mean, he knows what the fuck is up.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I could help out, maybe. Not really so much.
You got to go have a beer with Farmer Mark before you fucking take off for the Carolinas.
All right. I'll have to see if I can catch up with him.
Let's see. Air Tunnel Josh is back this week. If you remember last week, his phone call was only 8 seconds, so we didn't play it. So he has called back. Let's hear what Josh has to say.
What is up, gamers and beta? This is your local friend, Air Tunnel Josh. By the way, Corey, I saw what you did there at the end. Yeah, clever. Clever. Jay, still can't forget about you. I'll mention you now, so you don't forget about me near the end. And to answer your question, I prefer putting all the toppings under the cheese, but having all like the dipping sauce, like guac, sour cream on the side. And since this week's message didn't go through, or last week's, I'm going to call out Calhoun again. It was nice to hear him not on the show twice, because he sounds like he's a victim of smoking for 25 years. So, Calhoun, Kangaroo, whoever you prefer to call yourself, I'm calling you out, son. You're going to get lost in the air tunnel of Josh.
Oh.
I'm waiting to hear your response. And I know I'm probably late on this, but my thing I do miss about Joe is, or the funny thing that Joe's actually said, I think it was because he was making fun of my name as Tunnel Buddy, which is the joke there. I don't know if he said it or Corey said that, but yeah. Yeah, that's about it. So, like always, from your local air tunnel friend Josh here, I encourage you all to game on and Air Tunnel Josh alone.
Jeez, we do know what Joe likes to do with his buddies.
I'll be doing my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I give one guess who was next.
Oh, I hope it is.
Let's hear. Let's go to the airwaves.
Gamers in beta. What's up, gentlemen? Another week, another call. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another week, another call. To answer your question of the week, I'm not really going to go into much detail on the build of it, but I am going to admit that putting cheese on, I put cheese on last. I think cheese last is the way to go.
That's right.
If I'm wrong, well, I apologize. I'm wrong. Can I let you know a little secret? I don't put mustard on it. It hurts me to say it, but I don't put mustard on it, guys. Sorry about that.
Bullshit.
Oh. Had a request for my top 5 podcast. Lost my train of thought there for a second.
Top 5 what?
Top 5.
The top 5 podcasts.
Beta 1.
Nice.
Tagcast. Cheap Ass Gamer 2. Open Forum Radio 3. Dad's Getting Grounded 4. And my 5th one is Knuckleballer Radio. Now, mind you, in the wintertime there is more. If I didn't name your podcast, you're listening, please don't be offended. The time constraints, I can only do 5 in the summer, and that's the 5 I'm rolling with right now, but sometimes I change them up, so I'm always looking for something new, though. Always looking for something new. Speaking of new, gentlemen, I went onto a new frontier. I went into the world of Twitter. That's right, Fred French is now on Twitter. Under the name of Fred French 2017. Fred French 2017.
Now I'm going to pause from here for 1 second. I was a little disappointed it wasn't Fred French 2020. I thought he was going to make an announcement. You know, it's such a bold move of joining social media and Twitter. I thought he was going to announce his candidacy for the president of the United States. No such luck. He didn't go 2020. He went 2017.
Well, he would have my vote. I'll just let him know. He would have my vote.
Yeah,
same here.
Let's go back to Fred.
Fred on Twitter. Look me up, guys. Look me up.
Fred French, 2017.
Now I got a question since I let you guys down last week. I'm just curious. If it was your job to play a video game, one game in particular, do you think you'd enjoy it? You know, let's just say you're getting paid to play a sports game and they want you to be real good at it and you have to put a lot of hours into it, you're constantly playing it, or any game, role-playing game, puzzle game, side-scroll or anything. Do you think you'd enjoy it, guys? Do you think you could play a game all that time and still enjoy it? Like now, I play video games because it's an escape and I enjoy it a lot, but honestly, I think if it was a job and I had to sit down and play it over and over and over and over and over, I might actually have to put down the controller and find a new hobby. I don't know. Just wondering what you guys think.
Masturbation is always there.
As always,
no one will pay me to do that, though.
I apologize if you heard my crazy dog in the background. Dog's trying to move in on Fred French. I don't know. I might have to get some mustard and mustard up the food of the dog to keep him under control.
Dog French.
That's all I got, guys. Arrivederci. Arrivederci. I'm out.
There he is again.
Now, he didn't have any stipulations on the job. So, for example, there's plenty of streamers out there. That's their job, and they only stream one game. You know, so you got Counter-Strike guys who just stream that, or PUBG, or Hearthstone, or whatever else they're streaming. So if that is allowed on my job, if my boss allows that I can stream and play this game and thus interact with people and maybe make a little money on the side, you know what I'm saying? Then yeah, I think that would be cool, right?
You'd be a PUBG guy all the way. That's what I had you pegged for.
Mm-hmm. What about you guys? Could you play a game as a 40-hour job?
Well, I already have, game? So technically I've already got that covered. I believe Ark with 1,800 hours. I think I've already been playing like I have a full-time job with that one. So
I mean, that is a tough question though, because games eventually run out of updates and upgrades, right? So what if they stuck you with, he said sports games, they stuck you with Madden 2017. All right, eventually you're going to get to a point where the rosters aren't going to be updated anymore because a new game is going to come out. But if it's a game that just constantly gets updates like PUBG or Ark, No Man's Sky or whatever else, I could see it happening. What about you, Corey?
Ark is a real good answer, or games like that, because, like you said, it has gotten a lot of updates. But, I mean, they always say that if you should never really get paid to do the things that you really, really love, because eventually you'll hate it. So I think I wouldn't want to pick a game that I love because I would never want to see it as a job, because my immediate go-to response is Ark. Yeah, I mean, I could lose tons of hours into that game, and it'd be great to get paid to do it rather than pay to do it. But I don't know. I'd be afraid that I would eventually hate it. So I think I would choose a game that is dynamic, like a multiplayer game, like a Rocket League or a shooter of some kind, that I wouldn't mind someday just like being fired from, being like, yep, I hate that game, I'm never going to touch it again. So some sort of competitive game, I think. PUBG, I've never played it before, so I don't think anybody would ever pay me to play it. But yeah, I played a lot of Halo 2. Maybe if someone will pay me to play Halo 2 now, I would. So that's my answer.
All right. Again, voicemails 508-658-BETA. Let's see. Again, Jay is no longer with us on the call, so we apologize for that. So that just leaves the three of us. Gentlemen, let's quickly go over what we've been playing this week. Corey, you were away in Maine, right? Is that correct? And you came back?
Yes. And so before I left,
Go ahead.
Well, I did mention, I think, in the last episode that I was thinking about downloading Retro City Rampage DX on the Switch, and I did just before I left. So I've been playing that, and if you haven't played that, highly recommend it. It's essentially, if you know me at all, and I hope you do if you listen to the show, it's essentially, this is like the gamification of my personality. It's tons of old video game references and, you know, dick humor and like a Grand Theft Auto in a retro style. So this is like the me of a video game. So if you can stand me, then I highly recommend checking out this game.
Oh, I can't wait for the next one that comes out.
Oh, Hawaii, what is it? Something Hawaii.
Yeah.
But it's one guy. V-Blank Entertainment, I'm pretty sure, is just one guy. He did the entire, it took him, 7 years, I think, to make Retro City Rampage before it initially launched on the Wii. Or yeah, it's taken him a while to get that sequel out, but this will tide you over until then.
Excellent. Anything else?
A little bit of Splatoon here and there, but I don't know if anybody wants to hear me drone on about that. A couple of new weapons. The Sploosher, I think it was called. I tried that. Don't like it. Hate that one. But there's also a new umbrella that's like a shotgun that just came out.
Let me ask you about some of these weapons. Now, do you test them out, or do you just buy them?
Oh, they give you the option to test it. Why not test it? I test every new gun, even if I don't think I'm going to buy it.
I test as well. I have come up with a lot of guns that I haven't purchased lately.
Yeah, me too. I do not make purchases very often. I seldom purchase a weapon. I think I might purchase this new umbrella though, because it's got some good subs, and it's like a shotgun. Very
quickly, while we're talking about purchases, I also purchased the NES 30 Pro Game controller by 8-Bit Do.
Oh, which one did you get?
The one that you have.
Like, what does it look like?
The NES one.
Oh, okay. Did you? Is it like a square, or do you get like the dog bone kind of configuration with the joysticks?
Dog bone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exact same one I got.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
I like it. I like that I can tuck it into my little like Switch purse thing that I have and take it on the go. It's an easier controller
a satchel.
Yeah, exactly. The Indiana Jones carries one, so I like it. But I feel like last time I used it, I played. I was playing against my buddy in Mario Kart, and I felt like I was getting a little bit of delay. And
because the Bluetooth, were you too far away?
Maybe, yeah. But I was kind of getting pissed off because he sucks at Mario Kart, and I should have easily beat him, and he beat me in one of the races, and he wouldn't let me forget it. But I was blaming it on the controller. But no one listens when you blame it on the controller.
Right. The only thing I'm getting used to is that all the bumpers are at the top, like in a single row, compared to the Pro controller where they're stacked. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm trying to get used to.
I do like it for the Namco Museum games. For retro games, it feels great. So I have no complaints there. It's great for Dig Dug, great for Pac-Man, stuff like that.
All right. So you are all Switch these days. Latest stuff you've been playing, Retro City Rampage DX and Splatoon 2. Anything else?
Pretty much. No, I'm
you
pretty much
Mario.
Right.
All right. Sean.
Yes.
Do you know how sometimes Steam notifications appear on your screen? Are you aware of such things?
Yes.
All right. So some nights we have been podcasting. Do you know we do a podcast on Sunday nights?
Yes.
All right. And sometimes it comes up and Sean says, I can't be on the podcast anymore, but I will be playing Dark and Light anyways.
Bullshit.
So tell me about Dark and Light, because I see you playing this bad boy a lot.
Well, there's a reason behind that too, smart ass. So it may look like I'm playing Dark and Light. I'm not actually playing Dark and Light because, of course, I have a server for Dark and Light.
Oh, of course.
So sometimes I have to.
Man can't play one game without buying a server. Just play the game. Why do you got to buy a server? No,
well, because it's cheap.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Dark and Light is pretty much Ark with magic. That's basically all I can say about it, because it's made by Snail Games, or produced by Snail Games, which I guess is working in conjunction with Wildcard, because as I noticed in the game itself, a lot of the sounds, a lot of the UI, a lot of the animals all act the same way as they do in Ark.
Really?
Yeah. So, but it's set in a world of elves and dwarfs and humans, and it's almost like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing to it, where there's cities for each one. There's an elf city, there's a dwarven city, and then there's a human city, all different places. There's NPCs that you can interact with to buy things from, horses or magic potions, and it's really pretty much a little bit similar. The grind is still there, the farming is still there. It's not optimized that well yet, so obviously there's a lot of that going on because it's an early access game. And the server that I have, a lot of times if you see me playing it on Sunday nights, it's because I have to update the server, because it's on a constant, like Ark was way back in the day, where you have to update the server on a regular basis, if not, sooner, because a lot the NPCs and stuff get killed by animals. By the wild animals in the game will kill the NPCs in the cities, so you have to restart the server so that they respawn, so you can use them again. So it's interesting. It looks like they, I don't want to say stole, but I do want to say stole, because it looks like some of Avatar's animals are in there. The flying, I believe it's called a Nidhogg. Looks like one of the flying beasts that the Blue Cats flew on when they were in the movie there. But it's got all different types of animals. The same setup as Ark, with certain animals do this, that, and the other thing. The building is a little bit better. So it's an open world game. There are quests and storyline in it. Problem is that they're derped right now, so some of them don't work, or you can't really proceed with that, but you can still play the game. So so that's what that is. I mean, it's all right. I mean, I have played a little bit of it. It's a good game. This server that I got from my server company, the new survival servers, it is actually being used by a community on Twitch. So it's part of a sub community. So that's who's on the server right now. So 40 players. So it's usually half full. It's about 20, 25 players that are on it on a regular basis. So, but it needs a lot of work. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with it. But yeah, it's a pretty funny thing because there was an article that came out that no one wants to seem to take credit for the wild card snail games thing. Seems to be like a thing after that lawsuit that happened last year and everything. Mm-hmm. And so no one really wants to take to say who's actually in charge over there, but I'm pretty sure Wildcard's also working on this, which could explain why Ark got bumped out for the end of this month instead of being last week. So
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you've been playing, sir?
Yep, I played a little bit. I picked up Subnautica. That's a pretty cool game. It's a really pretty game. I didn't realize it was early access. That was one thing I didn't realize, but it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously you play by yourself, but it's a neat game. The graphics are incredible. The sounds are ridiculous. I was trying to play. I had to turn all the sounds almost all the way down because there's constantly noises, obviously, because you're in the water. It's like a I don't even know how to describe it. It's a survival game for sure with underwater, mostly underwater things to do.
It's like you crash on an alien water world, like it's an alien ocean. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat. I just started playing that, so I don't have a lot to talk about with that one. So that's what. And I also played Dishonored 2. And I really am really enjoying that game. I decided to play I don't really care, I'm going to kill everybody mode right now. I'm not going for stealth because I just wanted to see how fast I could get through the game. And I've realized what happened, the same thing that happened in Deus Ex, where I got to the end boss and I hadn't collected enough stuff to become powerful enough to kill the last boss. So now I have to go back and actually play correctly this time and not just try to so-called speed run through the game. But I enjoyed it. I like the Dishonored series. So
excellent. Let's see. My turn here. Of course, PUBG. Playing it as always. Nothing new to report other than tried out the first-person stuff in duos and really had the same results. Still no chicken dinner. What are you going to do? Splatoon 2. Corey. I have finally figured out first the story.
Congratulations.
Game driving me up the wall there. These teapots that you can barely see. And now, of course, that I see them, I'm like, how did I miss these things? But they're these, what would you say, transparent teapots that you need to squirt, right? And then they fully appear and they come to life. And then you go down these sewer grates to go to these worlds. And then do whatever you do in these worlds. Defeat these zapfish and collect the orbs and stuff like that. So I have beaten the first boss, the toast oven guy.
Yeah, the bosses are fun. I'm not a huge fan of the single player, but I do like the boss fights. Boss fights are pretty cool.
Yep. I haven't got to the second boss yet, but I have defeated the first one, so that has been enjoyable. Been playing the multiplayer stuff as well, but not as much as the single player because I wanted to get to that. So hope to jump back into more multiplayer this week. MLB The Show 17, finally played that last night with Devious Mr. Matt, and we did a little home run derby action there, best of 5, and I won. Let's see. Hellblade. Have you guys heard about this game, Hellblade?
Yes, I heard a lot of people are upset about this, like, incredibly difficult, it's like non-optional, incredibly difficult mode, right?
So this is a game, I haven't rage quit and deleted a game in a very, very long time. That's what ended up happening to me to this. And then I felt like a fool later on because I was duped by the developers. So the quick and dirty on the game is that you are some sort of Viking lady and you have gone to hell to avenge the death of your Viking husband or boyfriend. Very loose interpretation of the story. You have some mental issues. You're hearing voices in your head, lots of them. So if you're playing this game and you cannot turn up your television loudly because, you get kids that are sleeping at night or someone's watching TV in another room, then I suggest wearing your headphones because you're going to want to hear these voices that appear. And then you also encounter someone else on the island, or this. It looks like an island, but I guess it's hell. You encounter this other person that talks to you from time to time, so you're going to want to hear him as well. So, again, make sure you put your headphones on. The game has no tutorials. You just get thrown in this thing, and you're swimming along in this boat, and there's, all sorts of hung bodies, from rooftops, from spikes in the ground, from bridges. They're all just, hanging there. And eventually you come to these places that you have to solve puzzles. The puzzles are a little, you guys familiar with maybe old, like, Nordic writing? All right, so there's interesting shapes, and they give you 2 letters, and you have to go out into the world and find some sort of structures that meet the shape of those 2 letters. You do that, and these gates open up. And then eventually you'll fight these goat-looking dudes. They're all buff, like muscly guys, but they got a goat's head and they got swords. And all along, it's telling you at some point when you fight these goat demons that this game has permadeath. And every time you die, your hand will start to rot, and the blackness of the rot will work its way all the way up your body. And once it reaches your head, game over, and you've lost everything, that there's permadeath. So I'm going along, I'm about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into the game, and it's only a 6-hour game. And, I'm getting to more of these demon guys, and I keep dying. I finally figured out the tutorial. You pause the game, and that's where it shows you all the controls. Like I said, there's never at any point in the game does it tell you what to do. So I paused the game once, saw everything, so then I learned how to fight. And, maybe there's like 6 or 7 goat guys at one point, and you're facing one guy, you're beating him up, you're killing him, but someone stabs you in the back, someone gets you from the side, and eventually you die. And so all this, blackness is just growing, and I'm like, I'm never going to beat this thing. This thing, game is fucking ridiculous. How are you supposed to beat these 7 guys, and then they're going to make me start all the way over again and do this? It's like, fuck this, turn the game off and deleted it. And I went to bed, and I wanted to do some reading up on the game because I was still just angry and upset. And Eurogamer and some other sites did some testing on this game, and they tried to die somewhere, I think, around 500 times, and never once did the game permadeath them and make them start over.
So you're saying it's a big lie? Is that what you're saying?
It either happens very rarely, or it's some psychological thing where they're telling you there's permadeath to sort of add the tension to the game, which completely got me. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to keep dying here, and I'm going to lose all the progress. So rather than them taking the progress from me, I'm going to take it from them, and I just fucking deleted the game. And then
that showed them.
Yeah, that's how I operate. And, so I was reading that, and I was like, sons of a bitch, I could have just kept playing. Oh.
I did hear that game it deals with psychosis and mental illness. So I think maybe they're just trying to get in your head like that.
When you start up the game, there is some sort of you know how games typically in the past you'd have credits roll at the end, and there's been some sort of change in the last couple of years where they show you the credits in the beginning during some sort of sequences. Yeah. So as you're traveling along in the beginning in this canal in this canoe, it's showing you the credits, and one of the first credits is, we've brought in this, these mental specialists, and then they give you the names of the doctors or physicians or whoever they are. So Anyways, long story short, I played a bunch of Hellblade. I found it incredibly difficult, not intuitive. I felt like I was going to die anyways from the permadeath, and I said, fuck it, and deleted it. Now I should go back and reinstall it and play it again because I know that I won't die.
Yeah, they totally get in your head. They like Kojima'd you. Just totally tricked you.
And lastly, LawBreakers, that finally came out after all the betas and alphas, and just been playing that and trying to get used to all the different characters. A poor man's Overwatch, I guess is what people are saying. But since I didn't play a whole bunch of Overwatch, I didn't find a lot of similarities in it yet. But
I heard the player base is actually like surprisingly low.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems. Right now. I didn't have any problems. I tell you that. I played maybe an hour and a half today, and never once did I have any issues finding people or getting into games.
Good. I don't want to see that game. I'm not looking for that game to fail right out the gate. I would like to have a wider selection of like these type of shooters. So I'd like to see it succeed, at least for a little while, for Christ's sake.
Yep. All right, that's all the stuff we've been playing. Let's segue over to the news right now.
Extra, extra, read all about it!
All right, we're going to start things off here with some notable releases. This is coming out on multiple platforms. Agents of Mayhem. It's a single-player game, open-world game from Volition, which you know from the Saints Row series. So this is their new game. On the PS4, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 2. Also on the PS4, Matterfall, the new game from Housemarque, which we mentioned last week.
Mm-hmm. Same guys who did, what was it?
Dead Nation, Alien Ocean, Resogun.
Resogun.
Next Machina.
Yeah, that's the most recent one, yeah. This one is more like would you say this one's kind of like a Metroidvania style thing?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
With lots of hyper combat and the same visuals that, Housemarque is known for.
Yep. Nidhogg 2 on the PS4. You guys familiar with Layers of Fear by Bloober, the Bloober team? Have you heard about that game, Layers of Fear?
No.
Horror game. Jay played it, I think, on the Xbox One. Anyways, their new horror game is called Observer, and that's coming out on the PC and PS4. And lastly, the Jackbox Party Pack is coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Always fun. And that's cool because you can take Switch on the go, too. So if you go to a friend's house that doesn't happen to have a console and you still want to play a party game, so that's kind of cool.
Yep. All right, Sean, you haven't been around for a while, but you know the deal, Sean. How many news stories do we have this week?
We have eight news stories this week.
All right, the first one, Fallout 4, a Game of the Year edition, is going to be released later this year on September 26th. It's going to come with all the DLC that has been released, all the add-ons, graphical enhancements, the ability to mods and stuff like that. But also, if you missed out on the the name's escaping me right now. What's that thing?
The Pip-Boy.
The Pip-Boy. Thank you. Reading my mind. They're releasing a Game of the Year edition, Pip-Boy edition of the Game of the Year edition. And so if you missed out on it this time, last time, you can get it this time. That's what I'm trying to say. So anybody who needs a Pip-Boy for their collection, don't wait too long. That will cost you $99.
Damn.
Yep, I think the base Game of the Year edition.
And the game ain't one. What? Oh, sorry. My
bad. Moving on, We Happy Few. Remember this game, Corey?
Vaguely.
All right, so starting next week, We Happy Few is going to go from $29.99 to $50.99.
Well, how did they? Who the hell comes up with these prices?
Well, it's been early access, super early access for a long time. Like I'd say about a year now. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean, they came out. This was like super pre-alpha when they initially came out on the one, and I think they came out too early. And I think Jay called this about how people would lose interest in the game. But I'm assuming that this price increase means that they're pretty much done with the game. Have they announced that this is the final build of the game?
The price increase coincides with a significant update dubbed Life in Technicolor. It's going to add new joy effects as well as a brand new UI, AI rework, and much more. Full details will be available when it goes live on August 16th. Compulsion Games says, we will explain everything in more detail on the 16th. As you can imagine, there is more to the story, and we are looking forward to sharing all the juicy details with you. We always do our best to be transparent with you guys, so we felt it was important to provide this pricing information with ample time for you to make your decision. So August 16th.
I'm pulling for him. I mean, damn, I really wanted this game to be good, and we played it at PAX 2 years in a row? Was it 2 years in a row? And that second time they had a huge booth as opposed to that first time where there was like a little tiny like cubby hole that they were in. And the game looks super cool, looks super promising, but damn if it wasn't broken when it first came out.
I never played it when it came out, I don't think.
It was totally unplayable. Like all the missions wouldn't work. Nothing seemed to work. So, and I mean, and it came, every time you'd load up the game, it would be a warning that would come up. They would say, warning, you could lose all your game progress at any time because this is such an early build of the game. So, when we release an update, if you had a saved game, it could disappear. So I got a little disheartened and stopped playing it after a while, but I couldn't tell you if I'm going to go back. I kind of lost hope with that game.
Moving on to some PUBG news. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has deployed its 20th weekly patch to test servers ahead of the live introduction, which went live, I think, on Friday of last week. With it comes a typical host of bug fixes, some optimization tweaks, and a world and minimap adjustment designed to aid team play. So what this means is it lets dead players view their still living comrades' markers on both the minimap and world map, which of course makes the tracking feature important for squads. So basically what they're trying to get at is if you're playing this game and you have died, and say you're in a squad of 4 and your other 3 teammates are alive, you can look at the mini-map and sort of, guide them and tell them what's going on. Basically creates a scope, like remote coaching, if you will.
Can you see other players in that as well? Like, would you be able to tell them, some guys, there's a team approaching from your 6? Like, could you do that as a dead player?
Not yet. You really can't, turn the, turn as far as like the camera and things like that, but you can, now that you can tell where they are on the map, you can say, hey, maybe you guys are approaching this. Give them that sort of advice. You can still watch them in spectator mode and certainly look at enemies and help them and say, hey, there's a guy, at 235, or there's a guy over here at 40. You can tell them things like that, but you do not have free form with the camera to hey, there's a guy on your 6, watch out.
Okay.
Moving on, we have some news from the X-Payday devs. They're about to release a 4-person co-op game called Raid World War II. It's going to come out first on PC in September 26th, and then later on the consoles in October. So this is going to be a mix of action with stealth, asking players to coordinate against overwhelming odds. There will also be unique character classes, customizable weapons, armor, and hero abilities.
And you're going to be killing a lot of Nazis, which means Twitter is going to be abuzz with white nationalists getting upset about that. So that should be fun.
It says the goal in Raid World War II is simple: sabotage, assassinate, and pulverize everything bearing a swastika. Mess with Hitler and steal his treasures. With the Nazi regime as the ultimate evil, Raid brings together 4 unique characters with playstyles that complement and enhance each other as they fight and steal across Europe.
I like that it just doesn't say kill Hitler, it just says mess with him, like a cartoon character, like you're going to put a tack on his seat when he's not looking.
Have you ever seen that, those, videos where the famous movie with Hitler in it, and he's in the bunker with his his comrades, and shit's all gone to hell, and they're informing him that the war has been lost. Have you ever seen that? And they changed what he's
reacting to. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I saw a hilarious one the other day where it was like Dave Lombardo's no longer in Slayer. Oh, it was hysterical.
9999999.
Let's see. Moving on, PlayStation leaked notes for System Update 5.0. Nothing too crazy here to report other than PS4 Pro owners will now be able to stream via Twitch at 1080p and 60 frames per second. There's going to be some other stuff coming, but that seemed to be the most notable release for the update, which doesn't have a release date yet. Let's move on to some Switch news. Game Vice is suing Nintendo over the Switch's detachable controllers. I wish I had that detachable penis. Remember that song?
God, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
The Nintendo Switch, let's see, but it's Game Vice thinks that they are infringing upon their Android slate, which had detachable controls. I haven't even heard of Game Vice or this thing, but according to the suit, the Switch and its removable Joy-Con controllers are too close to Game Vice's vision of a combination of detachable game controller and a device with flexible bridge section. Not surprisingly, the lawsuit calls for both damages and a ban on Switch sales. Now,
yeah, good luck. Good luck. Good luck, Game Vice.
One thing I will say is Nintendo does not back down from lawsuits. And
no
Corey,
way.
And Corey, I am sure you get these PR emails like I do, but at least once or twice a year, I get an email from Nintendo's PR company telling me that they've won a lawsuit. Do you get those as well?
Oh yeah, and I mean, if anybody knows Nintendo, they're super litigious, and they don't give a shit. Like, does anybody know the story of Donkey Kong and how Universal sued Nintendo for using Kong in their game? And Nintendo was so bold as to the fact that they didn't try to pretend like they didn't rip off King Kong. They actually went after Universal and claimed that they didn't actually own the rights to King Kong, and they won. So I wouldn't fuck with Nintendo in court. You know, they've known what they've been doing for a long time, and that was back when Nintendo was a very small company. If they had lost that lawsuit with Universal, Universal would have liquidated Nintendo. They would have owned them. So yeah, good luck, Game Vice. Best of luck to you, but I don't think it's going to happen. Woo-hoo!
All right, and let's wrap up here with two Xbox-related stories. Corey or Sean, are you familiar with XBLIG, otherwise known as Xbox Live Indie Games?
I've never heard it called that before.
No, I've never heard it called that before either, but I know the indie games.
So on the 360, there used to be a section on the game store where there were these unfiltered games that people could upload to the store. They weren't curated by Microsoft.
Oh, yes. That was a wasteland of shit games. I don't know how often you looked in there, but there was a lot of like text adventure style games.
Yes.
There was only one game I ever found in there that was good, and that was like a I think it was like Super Oregon Trail or something like that, and that was actually pretty cool.
Whatchamacallit's first games used to come out of there. The people that have done the Charlie Murder games and the Dishwasher Vampire games, their first
You're
game,
right. Yeah, I forgot that they were in there.
Their zombie game, I forget.
Super Amazing Wagon Adventure is the one I was talking about, and that was $1, and you can, I mean, your wagon can shoot rockets. That's all I got to say. Oregon Trail with rockets. If you ever want to check that out, look it up. It's pretty great.
All right, so Xbox One and Windows 10 have launched the successor to XBLIG. It's now called the Creators Collection. Again, these are indie games that aren't curated by Microsoft. They go on to say the Creators Program was established to enable developers to directly publish their games, any of their games, to Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs with a simplified certification process and no concept approval required. Developers that publish through the Creators Program have the freedom and independence to develop games that are truly unique, resulting in a collection with games that can be quirky and have varying degrees of polish, but are always interesting.
There was a lot of Minecraft ripoffs before official Minecraft came out. Like, there was tons of Minecraft ripoffs in the old one. So it's I'm glad to see it. It's back. It's buyer beware though, because that's you might find a diamond in the rough, but it's a big rough. So buyer beware.
The Creators Collection games will be in their own subsection of the Xbox Marketplace, so you won't have to sift through them when you're going to the regular store. Why a special section? We think it's awesome to open up development to them anyway, with no barriers, no traditional certification, no concept approval, and no limitations. But we also listen to feedback from players, parents, and developers who let us know they love the curated store experience. This gives us all the best of both worlds, a curated store and a fully open marketplace. And the last bit of news here sort of circles back to the original Xbox story we had at the top about the new dashboard. So one thing that people complained about that wanted to get into it is that you couldn't join, you couldn't opt in to the sort of ring that you wanted. Your ring was sort of dictated by how much you were involved in the insider program and things of that nature. So they're changing that. If you want your Xbox now to be upgraded every single time they push out a little tweak, you can join the alpha ring. And again, this gives you all the updates. The other rings are called Beta, Delta, and Omega. And those ones going down will give you fewer and fewer updates. So if you're someone that always wants to be on the cutting edge of testing out new things, you can go into your insider program. It's an app that you download from the marketplace, and then you go into the manage button, and there you can there's like a radio button that you can click on for whichever option you want to join.
And if you don't leave your Xbox on all the time, don't just leave it in sleep mode. If you shut it off completely, know that it says there's between 15 to 20 updates per month, and it's between a 60 and 80 gig bandwidth usage per month. So if you have like a cap, depending on your internet service provider, know that before you want to opt into this thing. That's for the alpha, by the way.
Yes. Thank you, Corey. So that's all the news items for this week. Again, we've missed Jay. I'm sad to see that he had to bail because of Skype issues, but I think we carried on without him. So let's wrap this one up. Any sort of plugs or shout-outs, Sean?
No, just a shout out to you guys. I'm glad to be able to pop in tonight to talk about some games and stuff, and it's always good to listen to you guys for sure. And everybody, don't forget, voice line is 508-658-BETA. Even though I don't call in, and I probably should, so I'll make sure to get on that if I'm not going to be on the podcast.
We are going to require, if you're going to come back here after you've settled in, there's got to be some give and take, Sean. So we are expecting calls from the road. Hey, I'm at a hotel here. I just saw some hookers here. Give us a glimpse of what you're seeing on the road as you travel across America.
That's fine. I can do that.
Like a live tweeting equivalent. I want a live call. Like I want to listen in while you order some Coke and a hooker behind a motel and somewhere in upstate New York with Farmer Mike or Mark. Sorry, Farmer Mark.
That'd be going the wrong way to South Carolina, but that would be interesting as well.
That's true. Well, he's already on Coke. We already established that. So.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Sean?
Nope, that's it.
All right. How about yourself, Corey?
Yes, I've got a little bit of a nauseating amount of plugs, so don't skip by this. Please don't skip. Defenders is coming out on Netflix this Friday, so if you've been waiting for that, it's coming out on the 18th, so a couple of days after you listen to this, I assume. You will probably see it before I will, because I'll be in the woods of Maine, so go ahead, watch it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. And if you're in the Plainville area, our Splatfest is going to be happening this Wednesday, August 16th at 5 p.m., so come down to One Up Games. We're starting our bar game nights on, I probably should have written down the date. Shit. I think it's the following Wednesday. But we're going to be a Game 7 Sports Bar and Grill. We're going to have a Madden 18 tournament. It's going to be NES Classic with retro games, high score challenges, stuff like that. I swore I wrote down the date, but I don't have it in front of me. And also, the Boston Festival of Indie Games is going to be Saturday, September 23rd. So if you're anywhere in the Boston area, I highly recommend checking that out. It gets bigger every year, and the games are really cool. And if you want to see a developer watch me play his game and get really mad at me, I recommend going to check it out.
Let's see. Anything else, Corey?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right. Well, I want to thank you two gentlemen for appearing on episode 211. Again, Jay has been missed. Jay is threatening to end his podcasting career because of his Skype issues. He is hoping to resolve it, but it has been numerous weeks in a row now that he's had challenges with Skype. So we're hoping that he can get it resolved, but there is a chance that he might be bowing out, which would, Jesus, Corey, that would just leave it me and you. We'd really have to...
Fuck that. Jay, we're going to get your ass back.
But we'll see there. We will update people, and hopefully Jay can sort things out. Maybe he can trade his damaged ATV to the ISP, and they'll give him some faster internet, and they can trade in some parts. I don't know. I don't know how shit works in Maine.
They do that in Maine.
Yeah.
I think they do that.
Other than that, I don't have much, I don't believe. Leave us voicemails. I said last week when we released a show a day late that numbers tank, and they certainly did. So I don't know what you guys do on Monday, but this one should be coming out on Monday, so make sure you download this one. Enjoy it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies. I don't care. And other than that, this has been 211. Anybody want to be Jay? Sean, you're the guest.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Same beta time, same beta channel. Jay, you can't leave us now. See ya!
True blood with the wrong crew. Now what's through with you? You true blood with the wrong crew. Now we're through with you. Do you remember? Yeah, yesterday we stood side by side. We were once so close, man. Now in our back, your knife lies. True blood with the wrong crew. Now we're through with you. You true blood with the wrong crew. Now we're through with you. Is this what you wanted? Oh, you better expect the bid. You wanted a war now? Yeah, revenge so sweet. You true blood with the wrong crew. Now we're through with you. You true blood with the wrong crew. Now we're through with you. Yeah, now we're through with you. Now we're through with you. Go!
Sean is going to have to do some heavy lifting this episode because I'm fucking exhausted.